At its core, the borrow checker is Rust's tool for making sure that references to data follow the rules of ownership and lifetimes. It ensures you can't have data races, you can't use invalid memory, and you can't have dangling references. It's the reason Rust can guarantee memory safety without a garbage collector. There are two kinds of references you can have in Rust: immutable references and mutable references. But you can't have both at the same time. Let's look at the example. If I run this, no problems. This is perfectly valid Rust. We're taking two immutable references to the same variable, and the borrow checker is totally fine with that. Why? Because immutable references don't let you change the data. There's no danger of one reference reading stale or inconsistent data while the other is writing to it, because nobody's writing at all. But what if we try to sneak an immutable reference? This code will not compile. We get the error. Cannot borrow S as mutable because it is also borrowed as immutable. The borrow checker catches this immediately. It doesn't wait until runtime, doesn't give you a warning. It refuses to compile your code because you're violating the rule. And that rule is, you can have either one mutable reference or any number of immutable references, but not both at the same time. We can fix it by removing our one and keeping only the mutable borrow. That works beautifully. We're borrowing S, mutably, through our two, modifying it and printing the result. You can have only one mutable reference to a value in a particular scope, and you can't have any immutable references while a mutable reference exists. Now, you may wonder, how does Rust know when a reference ends? That's where lifetimes come in. The borrow checker uses lifetime analysis to figure out how long references live and ensures that no reference outlives the data it points to. We'll cover lifetimes in depth later, but for now, just know that the compiler is doing this automatically behind the scenes. Let me show you what happens when a reference outlives its value. This code will not compile, we get the error, missing lifetime specifier. Rust is telling us that S is dropped at the end of the function, so returning a reference to it would be returning a dangling pointer, a reference to something that no longer exists. So the borrow checker saves us from a very serious bug that might go unnoticed in other languages. To fix this, we should return the string itself, not a reference. That's fine, because now we're transferring ownership instead of returning a reference. Let's take a step further and try passing a mutable reference into a function. This compiles and runs perfectly. Here, we're mutably borrowing S into the change function, modifying it in place, and the borrow ends when the function is done. One thing to note is that while change has a mutable reference, you can't use S directly in main. Try this. Rust will say, cannot use S because it was mutably borrowed. So the borrow checker ensures you're not using data while it's mutably borrowed elsewhere. This is the kind of thing that prevents data races, at compile time, not runtime. That's amazing. A data race occurs when two or more pointers access the same memory location concurrently, and at least one of them is writing. The borrow checker prevents data races by ensuring that either 1. There are no data races. No two pointers access the same memory location concurrently. 2. There are no mutable references while immutable references exist. Now let's understand the scoped borrows. Check this out. This works, even if we have multiple mutable references of the variable S, because our one is only alive inside that inner scope. After it ends, we're allowed to make a new mutable reference. Rust is tracking all this, when references begin and end, and making sure everything stays safe. Now let me give you a few classic mistakes that the borrow checker will catch. Trying to have multiple mutable references at once. Trying to use the value while a reference is still alive. Returning a reference to a local variable. In each case, the borrow checker will refuse to compile the program until it's fixed. Another common mistake is borrowing a moved value. In this example, the value of S is moved to S2, so S is no longer valid. To fix this, you can use a reference or clone the value. Last but not least, mutable and immutable references in the same scope. To fix this, ensure that the immutable references are no longer used when the mutable reference is created. So to wrap up, the borrow checker is your friend. It enforces the rules of ownership and borrowing, keeps your code safe from memory errors, and makes sure that your references never get out of line. Drop a comment below if the borrow checker ever caught a sneaky bug in your code. I'd love to hear about it.